Hello everybody, Jen from Scrapping Under the Influence. I am back with a new project and a new kit will be available in my shop. This one I have used Carta Beach Town. This is a Stephen Duncan collection, and if you're at all familiar with him, he does more of the retro and kind of hand-drawn type things for Carta. He is one of my absolute favorites, and I haven't gotten a chance to play with any Carta of his for a long time, so this was super fun. So here is our album. It is 8.5 by 8.5 with a 3-inch spine. On the spine here, literally this came about because I had a little piece that got screwed up right there, and then I was like, oh look, this is fun. We've got the cute print with the towels and the hats and the swimsuits on the back. This gorgeous sunset print. I did some little kind of Polaroid type mats with some of the stickers that are in the sticker book. And then we've got a nice fluffy triple bow here. If it wants to untie for me. Okay. So when you open this up, we've got a nice big pocket here to put some cut aparts in. And you actually are going to have quite a bit of this left along with the half of the sticker book actually. So you will have more than enough left to do cards, possibly a small folio, change up the matting however you would like, any of that kind of thing. You will get, of course, the chipboard, the cardstock, pattern paper, both the pattern and the matching solids. You will get the full sticker book of Beach Town. You will get the ribbon, you will get the magnets, literally everything you need to make this project except your own adhesive and your tools because, most all of us have that. So right here we've got a small flap with a pocket. On the back side I have left this loose to tuck a picture back in here. This opens up like so, and I did leave the branding strip on the bottom of this for a photo mat because I thought it just looked kind of fun. This opens up. We've got two more of the little Polaroid style photo mats in here. And this one is magnetized. Over here, I did not do much of anything on either one of these. I did not want to cover up this paper. It would be perfect to just, place your photos there exactly and ready to go. I added some of the little sentiments here and here. We've got a nice big acetate pocket here to tuck more photos or cut aparts into. Over here, and I forgot to do my insert for this. There is supposed to be an insert here, and I did not make that one yet. So nice belly band here. We've got another little acetate pocket flap here. Just a nice collage there. This flips up. We've got space for photos here, here, here. All of that kind of fun stuff. And I built kind of a little scene down here with the stickers from the sticker book. On the back side here, we have another nice sized pocket and another little pocket flap here as well. This did not go where it was supposed to go when I was tucking it back in, but we've got a nice big photo mat here. We've got a nice little tuck spot for pictures or whatever, which apparently didn't glue all the way across like I thought it did, which I'm not surprised. I've had glue issues today. And then we have a nice little waterfall, put a nice big picture there. That is all held closed by our little insert here. And I did use the leftover solids to make 6x8 photo mats that are just tucked into the pages themselves. So that is the full project. The kit will be available on my website. This will not start shipping until Wednesday when my white cardstock gets here. I think it actually might be here on Tuesday, so they would possibly go out Tuesday night. But other than that, I have everything in hand ready to go and on the website. So let's get into the Okay, so you are going to start with 2 pieces of chipboard, 8.5 by 8.5, one piece 8.5 by 3. So we are going to wrap our chipboard. So to wrap, we have two pieces that are 10.5 by 10.5, one piece that is 10.5 by 5. I think I cut this 5. I don't know. Let's look. 6. Why is this 6? Did I grab the wrong one? I bet I did. Oh, no, that's right. 6. Yeah, never mind. That's right. The math isn't mathing for me today. It's been a long week. All right, so I'm going to use my top spacer. I am going to use my cover spacer. I am getting these prepped for the website. They are clear so you can see if everything is lined up. Especially helpful if you're using pattern paper to wrap. And they are also marked with which one goes where to make it easy and not have to remember, and know at a glance if you've put the right ones in the right place. So I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off of our tape and drop this guy down. Do the same thing with the other one. I do get my tape for this from scrapbook.com. I buy the 6, the 4, and the 2-inch rolls. They're 81 feet long. They will last a normal person who doesn't make a ton of albums. It'll last you a couple of years easily. And they're really, really, it's like $35, I think, for the 6-inch. So that's what I would recommend. You don't have as much waste like you do with the score tape sheets. Just better all-around option. Okay, so let's change out the cover spacer for the spine spacer. And that backing off of that tape. And there we go. We are finished with those for now. All right. So now we're going to wrap our cardstock around our chipboard. So I'm going to use the chipboard to fold it around and burnish. Fold it around and burnish. Around and burnish. Around and burnish. Okay. I'm going to go ahead and miter. On all 4 sides to get that corner out on my wings on my spine. Again. Okay. So I'm going to take my 1/4-inch score tape. And my glue that needs refilled. We're gonna try before I refill this. Well, maybe. And it has been like a week and a half since I've been in here doing anything. So of course it doesn't want to. It's clogged. There we go. All right, so along the edge of the chipboard with the glue, and then a little bit in the middle, fold it up and over. If you've watched any of my tutorials, you know this already, but the tape helps it grab immediately without having to do a whole lot of burnishing. So there's our spine. All right, so then we're going to do the same thing with our cover pieces. So I'm using the chipboard to fold the cardstock around like so. And lighter that one. Do the same thing on the other piece. I don't use a ton of white cardstock, but this paper collection needed the white cardstock. So I ended up ordering white cardstock, which I needed to reorder my matting cardstock that I put in kits. But yeah, so okay. So I'm going to do the same thing with the score tape, only we're going to go around on all 4 sides this time. So there we go. Okay. Okay. So I'm going to do the same thing. We're going to go along the edge of the chipboard, through the middle, fold it over and down. Over and down, and just continue on the other 2 sides. You can just go around. I like to do opposite sides. I think it looks cleaner. Not that anybody's really going to see it because you're going to cover it up with pattern paper, but it still just works for me. Okay. And next piece. Come on. There we go. All right. And just the same process again. Okay. So now I'm going to take my spine and throw the lid of my glue, apparently, because of course I am. That's how this goes, you know. Okay, and I'm going to take my bone folder, and I am just going to burnish along the edge of the chipboard. Fold it over, burnish it, fold it around, burnish it. Then I'm going to take my 1/4" score tape again. I'm going to go along the outside edge. And actually, I'm going to go, I did this on a book the other day, and honestly, it's like incredibly helpful. And I know I used to build them like this back when I first started using this method to build the covers, but I don't know when I went to just the one piece. I don't know. It's okay. All right, so I'm going to grab one of my covers. I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off of my tape. I'm actually going to grab my scoreboard as well. I'm going to set my cover in the scoreboard up in the corner. I'm going to fold this down, hold it with one hand, get my glue in between my tape. I'm going to hold that and use my scoreboard to get this lined up exactly where it needs to go. Okay, like so. All right, so the other side is going to be the exact same thing. I'm going to go ahead and get the backing off of my tape. Okay, and again, all the way up in the corner, all the way to the outside edge, and drop it down. Okay, easy peasy. All right, so then I'm going to burnish this down in between. I'm going to take a piece that is 8 3/8 by 7 that is going to go across to reinforce. The entire back of this is covered in tape. This is the one step I recommend using tape to cover the entire thing, simply because this will go down absolutely flat. You don't have to worry about it bubbling or anything like that once you are folding everything and working your hinge. Just make sure that you don't have anything hanging off the side there, because apparently I didn't trim that side. And we're just going to center this like so. I'm going to grab the big bone folder to burnish that down. And then I'm going to fold it up and burnish. Turn it, fold up and burnish, and flip it over and pinch. The reason I like to pinch, I think it just sets everything in there nice and clean, and that is ready to go. Okay, I'm going to throw that one off to the side there, out of the way. We are going to do our hinge. So our hinge is 8 inches by 4.5 inches. Is that right? Yes, that is. Okay, sorry, I had to think there. All right, so we are going to score this at 1/2 inch, oops, 1 inch, 1 3/4. So this is going to be a wider gusset because we have little things that are going in between. So 1 3/4, 2 1/4, 2 3/4, 3 1/2, and 4. Okay, so that was hard to see on the white cardstock. Oh, I turn it over. It's slightly better. Okay, so we've got bigger gussets on this one. So I'm going to start in the middle. I'm going to fold it over. Before I start burnishing, I'm going to make sure my corners are aligned so that we are getting a nice even hinge. And we will burnish from the middle out. Okay. I'm going to turn it so that that folded piece is facing me. We're going to fold it back this other direction. Burnish from the middle out. You don't want to start at an end and burnish across because that's how you end up with a crooked fold. Okay. Back to the other side. And again, from the middle out. Excuse me. All right, there's our first hinge. Now we can go ahead and fold our end. Again, from the middle out. Turn it, fold it back towards you again. From the middle out. And then our last one. Fold it over. From the middle out. Back towards you again. From the middle out. And there we go. Next up, we're going to go ahead and glue this. So I'm going to do the same thing. I am going to start in the middle. Okay. And I'm going to burnish out. I put my extra glue. Flatten it. Burnish again. Again. And pick whichever end. Where there's only 3 pages. This one is a fairly simple hinge. Okay. And the last one. And I'm going to have to pause, I'm sure, and refill this. Okay. And again. All right. So there is our hinge. Set that aside. Bring the scoreboard back, and we're going to get our page bases ready. Okay, so for the page bases, you need 3 pieces that are 8 by 8. These do not need any scoring. You need 3 that are 8.5 by 8.5. All 3 of these, you're going to score with the 8.5 at the top. Add 1/2 inch. Turn it. And 1/2 inch again. Okay. You do the same thing on the other 2. So 1/2 inch. Turn. 1/2 inch again. And the last one. 1/2 inch. Turn. And 1/2 inch again. Okay. I am going to miter just a tiny bit up there, so you can see not a whole lot. On all 3. Okay. All right. And then we are going to cut across the corner where the score lines cross, like so. Okay. That on all three. Okay. So, to make this easy, let me get these all turned the right direction. I'm going to take one, I'm going to fold and burnish, and again, you're going to start from the middle and burnish out, and start from the middle, burnish out. Okay. We are going to, and I don't normally do this, but this is a little bit easier. I'm not necessarily going to do any page inserts, so these don't need to be like loose enough to get something in there. If you wanted to do page inserts, you absolutely could. If you are purchasing the kit, you would need additional cardstock to do that, which would be the unfortunate part because I am not doing inserts at this point. Okay, so we are going to set that down into that corner, and we are going to glue on the left hand, or I'm sorry, the right hand side. Fold that over and burnish it down. We are not going to glue the bottom one just yet. Okay, so this way it's ready to go. And I'm going to burnish that again because that doesn't feel like it wanted to stick. There we go. Okay, so same thing again. From the middle out. From the middle out. Line that up in there. And if you need to take a hair off of your 8x8 pieces so that they sit in here nice and flat, by all means, go right ahead. Mine are okay. So I am going to leave them as is. And last one. Okay. Let's get these assembled before I refill. Okay. All right. All right, so there's our page bases, there's our hinge, here is our book. All right, so what we do need to do before we put anything in is we do need to mat the front, back, inside covers and our spine. We're going to do that with the solids for the collection. I don't know which solid yet. I haven't decided. So they are double-sided. You've got a different color on each side. I kind of want to do yellow. This is hard. Trying to think here what I'm gonna do. Yeah, let's do yellow. I think the yellow is gonna be good. So let's grab both pieces of yellow and a paper trimmer somewhere here. All right, so our cover is 8.5 by 8.5. So we are going to do this. Oh, what's on the other side of that? No, I think we're gonna do yellow. Okay, So the cover is 8.5, so I'm going to go 8 3/8. And 8 3/8. And then I can take this one and go 2 7/8. Or in there. And I do make a pile of like even these weird little scraps because sometimes if you're going through and doing photo mats to tuck in pockets and things, I like having these just to add like a little strip on the photo mat sometimes. It just depends. And I don't always do that, but it's just, you know, one of those little things that just gives it some character. So, all right, 8 3/8 again by 8 3/8. And there we go. So let's go ahead and glue these all in. Oh, I keep going back to that orange though. This is hard. No, I think I'm going to stick with the yellow. I think the yellow's good. Ugh, come on. Just a little bit more, and then I will refill. When I pause to cut the rest of my stuff. Okay. And varnish that down. We debated about inking with this project, like with kind of a sand color or like a kind of a light gray, like an ocean fog. I don't think at this point I'm going to. I don't know. I might change my mind once I get to matting, you know, the other elements. But for now, we're just gonna go like that. All right. So then I'm gonna grab my hinge. It's just gonna get centered up in here. Yes, I realize that is quite a gap. We're doing a box pocket over here and a pocket with a waterfall on this other side. So we want a little bit of extra space in there. Plus we have some other little elements that are going in between the full-size pages. So that is that. All right, I'm not going to attach my page bases yet. This much is good to go. If you want to go ahead and figure out your front and back cover matting, go ahead and do so. And I will be right back with our next. Okay, so let's start with our front inside cover. For this, you are going to need a piece of acetate that is 5.5 by 6, a piece of cardstock that is 9 by 6, oops, and 2 pieces that are 5.5 by 1 1/4. We're going to start with the 9 by 6 with the 9 inch at the top. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch and 3/4, and then 6 3/4, and no, I just scored that in the wrong place. 6 3/4 and 7. So let me, just the way this one's going together, it'll be fine. Okay. Your 2 narrow pieces that are 1 1/4, you're going to put the 1 1/4 at the top. You're going to score this at 1/2 inch and at 3/4 on both pieces. Okay, so this one is okay, so this bottom part down here, we're going to fold up and burnish. But before we do that, I'm going to add score tape. So I want 3/8 inch score tape along this bottom 1/2 inch flap. Okay. And then on our 2 side pieces, I'm going to do the same thing on one side on each of those. Okay. Okay. I'm going to go ahead with my little side pieces. I'm going to fold up the tab that doesn't have the score tape. That's what I'm trying to say. Tab without the score tape. And we are going to fold not the tab with, or not where the score tape is. We're going to fold on that second score line here and burnish, just so we know where we're lining these pieces up on the sides as we put this together. Okay, so we have refilled the glue, so it will probably go everywhere. I know how this goes. So I'm going to go ahead and just glue that on the back side here, down at the bottom. Okay. Same thing with the other side. All right, so then I am going to take my acetate. I'm going to fold and burnish the bottom tab with the score tape, and that's the one I'm going to attach first. Okay, so what I'm doing is I'm lining the acetate up against the score line and then folding this over and down on top of it and burnishing it down. And then I can bring it back to where and if you ever get gunk on your acetate, rubbing alcohol. Rubbing alcohol is your friend when working with acetate. Okay, so I'm actually going to fold this back out of the way. I can fold my other 2 tabs. I'm going to fold and burnish my top with its little bitty closure. Okay, and then go ahead and fold this up. Get the backing off. And fold these over. And since it's score tape, it will just stick. If you're having an issue, slide your bone folder in there for something to press against. Not initially, otherwise you'll end up with it not quite in the right spot. Okay, and that one is done and ready to go in the front cover of our book that I have now misplaced. There it is. So that is going to go in here like so. So I'm going to go ahead and get my glue. You can mat the inside of this before you glue it down. I'm fine doing it afterwards because I don't know what I want to put on it yet. I am like the slowest matter and decorator in the world. So we're not going to subject you guys to that right now. Okay, so all we're doing is just centering this piece up on that front inside cover. I did do it a little lower as opposed to fully centered top to bottom, but it is centered left to right. So the next piece we're going to work on is going to be our back inside cover. So we have a pocket and a waterfall. Our pocket, oh, and an insert that doesn't need any scoring. The insert is 6x8. I ended up matting that with just leftovers at the end. So our pocket is 4 3/4 by 9 1/8, and then we've got a waterfall, and these pieces are 3.5 by 4, and there are 6 of them. So let's do our pocket. So you're going to put that in your scoreboard, starting with the 9 1/8 side on the top. You're going to score it at 1/2 inch and at 5/8 inch, or 1/2 inch on 2 short sides and then 1 long side, and then turn it to the 4 3/4 side and score it 1/2 inch. And then for all of our waterfall pieces, you're going to start with the 3.5 at the top and score at 1/2 inch on all of these, which I actually was scoring at 3 because it's much easier. I can really, make sure the paper stays still while I score. So that is, of course, always an option. And I've been trying to do that more in videos, but sometimes my brain will not calculate the math that quickly. But that's okay because you know what? It works either way we want to do it. Okay, so once you have all of those scored, we're going to go ahead and miter our pocket. So we're going to do a miter on the top corners, and then on the bottom, you're going to cut across through where the score lines intersect on the bottom, which you can actually see this better on video than I thought you could, so that's good. And then go ahead and fold and burnish. I'm going to grab the book so it's ready to go. As always, burnish from the middle out to make sure your score lines stay nice and straight. And let's get those ends folded in. And normally I only glue like the bottom and then we'll burnish it down and then do the sides. But honestly, it's just been, I keep having them like end up crooked when I'm doing that. I'm not sure what I'm doing wrong. It's me, so God only knows. It's probably, I'm pulling on it harder than I think I am, but that's okay. So we're going to go ahead and put that down. It is slightly smaller than our photo mat, so just center it on, or I'm sorry, not photo mat, our cover matting. So just center it between on that yellow cover. So our waterfall, we're going to do this a little bit different. We're going to go ahead and fold and burnish all 6 pieces, and then we'll go ahead and attach. Okay, so skip through the folding and burnishing because I'm pretty sure you all know how to do that at this point. So we're going to do this with 3 on one side and 3 on the other. So at this point, I'm just kind of testing to make sure that they actually are going to fit the way I wanted them to, as opposed to them just going straight across, which was my original plan. And then, of course, after I thought about it for a minute, I decided, no, I'd rather do it going across like that. So we are going to split our pile in half, so 3 and 3, and go ahead and put these down. So we're going to put our first one down, lining up the edge with the edge of the pocket that's below it. There's going to be a slight gap on these, so you're just going to want to center it so that the little bit of yellow that peeks through top and bottom is the same. Okay, so that's attached. You're going to fold it back, attach your next piece. We're going to go ahead and put that one down. And then for our third piece, rather than put it down where you have that tab, we're going to attach that tab on top of the flap before it. And you've probably seen me do this a few times. It's one of these things I try to remember to do every time, but a lot of times habit takes over and I forget. But in this case, we absolutely want to do that so that when everything is in there and good and dried, when you open those bottom flaps on both sides, you've got a nice big space with the yellow to add another picture. So you should be able to get possibly a 4x6 in there, I would think, or very close to it. Which, I mean, most of the time I realize we all print our pictures in 4x6, but there's always stuff you can crop off. And rarely is there stuff that, you can't crop out. So just kind of keep that in mind if you're one to put pictures into the albums that you make, because I literally never get around to it. I'm terrible about that, and I know it, so that's okay. Like, I have one of my Disney albums that I have all of the pictures printed to put in it, and they've been printed for like 3 years now. So yeah, there you go. That's how this works. All right, so we're gonna fold all of that, or burnish all those down. Our insert gets tucked in the front to hold those down, so we didn't have to do another kind of closure. And if you want it to fit in that way, you're going to have to trim a tiny bit off, but I'm fine with it standing up. Okay, next up, we are going to put in our page bases. So we've got our little tab there on the side. We just attached it on the ends, so we can open this up to attach it to our pages. I don't have a hinge tool for this one, this size with a 3/4 inch gussets. I have a prototype of one, but I haven't tested it enough. I haven't had a chance because this is not a size I do typically, and I don't think this is a size most people do, so I don't know that that one will ever come to fruition, but we're going to go ahead and attach our page bases. And I was kind of messing around here deciding which way I wanted to do that tab to close them off, and I did end up doing it on the outside. So what we're going to do is open that up. We're going to kind of push our hinge towards us, so lay it flat facing you. You're going to put glue on here, and then we're going to bring our page base in. I am going to put it all the way against the bottom of the hinge, which we do not want to leave it against the bottom of the hinge, and making sure that my tab to close it off on the end is not, that I haven't put the page too high, if that makes sense. So I'm very gently wiggling it back so I have almost 1/8 of an inch of gap between the bottom of the hinge and the bottom of the page base itself. We're good to go. So I can go ahead and glue the other side and burnish it down. Like so, and then I can go ahead and get our bottom flap to close off our page. And I know I said, like, when we were building the page bases, I wasn't going to do inserts. I did end up doing inserts. If you end up with the kit, you'll have 2 full sheets of the solids left, assuming you mat exactly like I did. But you've got more than enough of the paper to change up the matting if you want to. But I ended up cutting those to 6x8 and using them as just very simple page inserts, because where I use the Carta Beach Town paper, Carta is like super heavy paper. So you can absolutely use that for inserts without having to do anything else to it. So really, if you wanted to, for that insert with the waterfall on the back inside cover, you could actually swap one of those out. But with that one, I ended up taking my last little 6x8 piece of the solids and just like cutting it down and matting it on top of that. So we're doing the second page here. Same exact process as the first one. The only difference is we are just making sure when we put that down, we're lining it up with the page before it, like so that it's straight across. And if it's off slightly, honestly, it does not matter. It's not a big deal. These are handmade projects. They are not going to be perfect, and there is absolutely nothing wrong with that. So go ahead and get the other side adhered down, burnish, and then we can close off the bottom. Shoot. Sorry, yawning here. Okay. And let's do our last page. And again, you're just going to line it up with the two ahead of it. And this one I did need to wiggle out a little bit more, and I'll figure that out here in just a second with the, when I go to put the other side down, I realize I put it down too far, so I'm just going to pull it back slightly, making sure I'm still even across the top and bottom, and then closing off the bottom. Okay. Not too bad there. So then let's go ahead and move on to our page elements. So our first page element, there are going to be two flaps. Let's get the book out of the way so we can go ahead and score these. So we have one piece that is 7.5 by 6. With the 7.5 at the top, we are going to score this at 1/2 inch or 7 inches, just so you've got that little 1/2 inch tab on there. Our second piece is 6 by 4.5. With the 4.5 at the top, you're going to do a 1/2 inch score. And again, if you bought the project kit, you have a written cutting guide. If you already have this paper, or you have other paper you would like to use for this project, and you would just like the written cutting guide, I do have the cutting guides alone for purchase on my website as well. There is a cutting guide section I'm trying to go back and find some of my older ones that I did them for and put those on there as well. But as with everything like this, it does take a little bit of time at times. So, all right, so we are going to go ahead and glue our smaller 4x6 flap centered. Well, I was playing with it here. I decided to do it the other direction. On the left-hand side, you're just going to center it on the page. Okay. And then on the right-hand side, we're just going to use that flap to line it up so that they overlap each other exactly. And we're going to glue that one down on the right side on the outside edge of the page. Okay. Nothing too difficult so far. This one does have fairly simple elements as far as the pages themselves go, but then we've got our little mini pages or mini flaps that are going between the pages that we'll do at the very end here. So let's go ahead and put magnets on this. So again, if you're purchasing the kit, the magnets are part of the kit. Note about the magnets, when you are getting them apart, don't try and pull them apart. You want to slide them apart because these are really strong and really thin and they can break. And so you want to just kind of keep that in mind. So there's that one. The back of page 1 and the front of page 2 are just going to be layout pages, so we don't have any elements we're going to add here. For the matting on those, I ended up using, there's a sheet in there that's like the beach, and there's a sheet that's like a little row of beach houses, and that's what I used. So the back side of page 2, we have a belly band. This is 9 inches by 4 inches. You're going to score it at 1/2 inch and 8.5. And then go ahead and miter. Okay, and then fold and burnish your score lines. And that's just going to get centered on the back of page 2. Okay, there we go there. All right, front of page 3, we have 2 little side flaps and a top flap. So our top flap is going to be 8.5 by 8. With the 8.5 at the top of the scoreboard, you're going to score this at 1/2 inch, or in my case, I'm scoring it at 8 inch so I can hold the paper still and not have to reach across my own arm to do it. We're going to go ahead and miter. Excuse me. Go ahead and miter. And then our small flaps are 4.5 by 4. With the 4.5 at the top, you're going to score at 1/2 inch. And then go ahead and miter those. And fold and burnish your score lines. On all of your pieces. Okay, so I'm going to put my 2 little side flaps in. These will actually meet exactly in the middle. If they overlap slightly, that's fine. But we're just going to center those on the page and attach. So I'm going to do the right one first. So it's going to go to the outside edge. You're just going to center it on the page base itself. And then the left one, when you're putting it on, make sure you're not going off of the page base and onto the hinge. And then you're going to use the other one to line it up as far as height so that they are exactly across from each other. Like so. Oh, shoot. Sorry, I'm yawning again. I apologize. All right, so we're going to put our flap on the top. So I did turn my book upside down so that I can better see what I'm doing. So that one's going to go down like so. Okay. And then the back of page 3. So this one really you could do it with those folding out and over. That's not what I want to do. I like having them hidden underneath there. And because of the size of that page, once it's matted and decorated, it will stay flat without needing a magnet or any other kind of closure. It'll be just fine. All right, so last up we have a pocket that is 4 by 9. You're going to score it 1/2 inch and at 8.5, and then turn it and score another 1/2 inch. Then miter across the bottom like we do with pockets, miter the top, and then we can fold and burnish. We do have quite a few pockets in this because I really like doing pockets because I want to, when I do actually put pictures in the books, I like to have like either the loose pictures or matted loose pictures that you can pull out and kind of, shuffle through and look at closely without having, them adhered down in the book, which there's absolutely nothing wrong if you want to just do pictures on the pages, that's fine. But just from the handful that I have done that with, where I've got them, um, uh, where I've got pictures in them, I do like having the option of having the loose pictures as well. So, all right, there's that. So let's go ahead and we're going to go back and do our small flaps that go between the pages that we cut. And we're going to go ahead and assemble all of these before we put them in. But these are all super fun. So our first one we're going to assemble, and they're numbered. That does not necessarily mean that's the order they go in. You can put them in whatever order, works for you. So first off, we have a piece of acetate that is 5.5 by 12. We're going to score this at 6 inches. You will need to go over this a couple of times to get that good crease, and then fold it and burnish it. Be careful when burnishing acetate because it does kind of slip sometimes. You don't want it to get super crooked. Okay, so then we have two pieces that are 5.5 by 7/8 of an inch. We are going to score both of these at 3/8 of an inch. Okay, maybe. I'm not sure what I stopped to look at, but clearly there was something because I don't know why we're just sitting here now unless, oh, I think I was looking, trying to figure out how, at my notes, trying to figure out how on earth I was going to do this. Okay, so basically score it at 1/2 inch, and that will give you 1/2 inch on one side, 3/8 on the other. And then you're going to go ahead and add score tape to the 1/2 inch side on both of those because that's how we're going to build our pocket. And this one I did a little bit differently than I normally would because I was initially trying to make those little 3/8 inch tabs where it would fit exactly in our gusset space, and it was just slightly tight where I wasn't really thrilled with it. So I ended up um, just attaching those together. So right here is where I realized we are missing a piece um, for across the bottom there. So I'm going to cut one more piece that is 6 inches by 1 inch, and we'll score that one at 1/2 inch as well. So yeah, let's go ahead and attach our little tabs here to our acetate pocket, and then I'll cut the other piece in just a second. You're just going to attach that to one edge. I just literally put the acetate in there up against the score line and then fold our pieces over, which I got mine crooked, which on score with these, you can at least pull that back off fairly easily. so, and then fold that tab back the other direction, because that's how we're going to attach this into our book. So on this one, I think I went ahead and folded that tab back the other way before I attached it, which it really is fine. Because ultimately when we put them in the book, it's not going to be split out like it is right here. Okay. So again, we're just going to attach this. And burnish everything back down. And then I will cut my other piece that we are then going to score and then attach as well. So 6 inches by 1 inch. We're going to score this at 1/2 inch. So I'm actually going to do it with the little scoring blade on my trimmer, just because it's small and I don't want to, mess with it with the big board, because sometimes that gets difficult. So I'm going to go ahead and put that in there. I'm going to use my little scoring blade, and that works just fine. I don't do that all the time, because I cannot tell you, every time I try to do it for the whole project, I end up cutting through something I don't mean to cut through every time. Okay. Excuse me. So we are going to attach score tape on both sides of this piece. Sorry, I need some water there. Dry throat today. It is allergy season after all, and yeah. Okay, so let's go ahead and attach this on the bottom. Doesn't matter, the bottom's the same both ways. So I'm lining this up against the score line on the side that still has the backing on the tape, and then I can just fold this over, turn it over, get the backing off my tape on the other side, and fold it over, and this one is done and ready to go in the book somewhere. Okay, so we'll set that one aside. Our second mini flap, mini page, whatever you want to call it, has 2 pieces of cardstock. Okay. So the first piece is going to be 5 7/8 by 7, with the 5 7/8 at the top. You're going to score this at 5 inches. 5 3/8, scored at 5 inches. Our second piece is 4 by 8. You are going to score this at 1/2 inch and 7 1/2, and then turn it and score 1/2 inch again. Because this is a pocket, we're going to go through our same process where we're going to cut across the score lines in the bottom corner and then miter the top. And then that will get attached to that tab there. The tabs that you're using to attach, you do not want to miter. Okay. So fold and burnish. And then we are going to fold my score line there for my little tab that's going to attach this, so that I can figure out for sure where I want this pocket to go. And I do want it away from the tab that's going to attach this into the book. Okay, so I'm just going to set that in there because I think that one is going on our front page. The bigger clear one is going to go between the first and second page. And then let's do our next one. So our next one, we just have a piece of cardstock that is 8 7/8 by 4. We are going to score this at 1/2 inch, 4.5 inches, and 8.5 inches. Okay, so this one does not need any mitering. I take it back. On your 1/2 inch tab, you are going to miter. Your 3/8 inch tab that is going to attach this into the book, you do not want to miter that one. So fold and burnish, fold it in half and burnish it again, and then you are going to glue on that tab and along the bottom to create your pocket. And there you go. And then I'm going to go ahead and fold my little tab over there. That one's going to go on the very back. All right, our last one, we have a piece of acetate that is 5.5 by 4.5. With the 5.5 at the top, you're going to score this at 1/2 and at 5 inches. And again, scoring acetate, you want to go over it a few times with your little scoring tool. Okay. And then our cardstock piece is 4.5 by 6. So with the 4, I'm sorry, not 4.5, 4 7/8. With the 4 7/8 at the top, you're going to score at 4.5. You're going to turn and score 1/2 inch on the 6-inch side, which right now mine is too big. Mine is actually 6.5 inches, and I end up scoring it twice and cutting part of it off. You don't need to do that. Just cut it to the 6 inches. I'm going to figure this out here in about 30 seconds. Okay, so we do want on our side with the 3/8 inch tab, we do want to cut that little corner out, and then I'm going to end up cutting it out on this top that you won't have the top because I did actually have this one slightly larger than it needed to be, which is fine, easily fixable. We're going to put score tape on our 1/2 inch at the bottom there. See, this is where I end up putting it on here too and going, wait a minute, this isn't right. And then cutting off my extra 1/2 inch. So yours, just to reiterate, will be 4 7/8 by 6. You will start with the 4 7/8 at the top, score it at 4.5 inches. You will turn it to the 6-inch side and score it at 1/2 inch. So this is the point which I'm realizing I did this not the way I planned. So I'm going to cut that off. And then it makes more sense. So there you go. Okay, so then next we need to add score tape to the 2 1/2 inch tabs on the acetate. So this was where I got myself like all weirdly confused because that little 1/2 inch tab on the bottom of our base is what folds up across the bottom of the acetate to close off the pocket. So I'm just folding and burnishing my score lines on my acetate, and then folding and burnishing my bottom corner there and my little tab. I'm just seeing if I need to miter anything off that bottom, and it's all good. So you're just going to attach that near the bottom and then fold that bottom piece up to seal it off. So I'm just getting the backing off the tape. And I'm going to start on the edge that's up near our little tab to attach this to the book and burnish that down. And then you can just very easily get your backing off the other side and fold that one down and burnish it, and then fold your bottom up. And then we can go ahead and get these into the book. Okay, so we are going to put this one's actually going to go in the back. I know I start looking like I'm going to put it in the front, and then I change my mind because that was not what I wanted. It's going in the very back here. So all you're going to do is glue that little 3/8 inch tab up against the base of the page so it touches the score line. And, wait for it to dry before you move it there because, yeah, that would be helpful. Okay, so we are going to go back to our next one, and this is where I realized I actually meant for the acetate part to be facing forward, but honestly, it's fine the way it is. But with these, you're going to do the same thing. It's going to go into the middle there. Center it up, put it up against the edge of the page base before it, or if the tab's going the other direction, behind it. Okay, so this one is the one where it ended up being a little bit funky when I went to put it in. My intention was for those two tabs to just be touching on both sides to put that into the middle, but I was just a hair off. So I ended up just folding them together and gluing one side down and then the other side on top of it. So I'm going to go ahead and put that with the edge of that tab up against the page so that it's flat. And burnish it down. And then I'm going to go ahead and put glue on the other tab and just glue it on top of the tab that's attached to the base. And if you wanted to fold that in and attach it on the inside of that pocket, you could, but honestly, this worked just fine and made sure it was like, had a lot of space for that pocket to be filled up. Okay, our last one goes in here at the front. And then I just kind of played with it to figure out which way I wanted the pocket itself to go. So I wanted it facing out towards the front. So that's what I ultimately ended up doing. Okay. So there's that one. All right. So at this point, your book is pretty much done. So I'm just burnishing that down. So at this point, like I said, your book's pretty much done. Go ahead, mat, decorate, so on and so forth. And as always, I think I ended up, when I matted, I did end up putting tiny magnets underneath this. So if you bought the kit, you're getting those magnets as well. But at this point, I wasn't sure which way I wanted to do it. So as always, thank you for watching. I'll see you next time.